Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Eric. I will be giving your lecture for the day. This is week 9, day 2. Yesterday, you guys built a LexBot manually through the console and CLI. Today, you'll automate that entire process using Terraform, transforming manual work into repeatable version-controlled infrastructure. So yesterday, you guys went to the console and went to Amazon Lex. You guys created some bots. Within those bots, you guys added some intents. So the intents are pretty much the task that the bot is able to do. So we're looking at an example here. We have analyze text and also transcribe audio. So within the intent, you have your utterances. So it's what the bot looks for in order to know what task they should complete. So whenever it sees something like analyze this text, check sentiment, what's the sentiment of this document, it'll automatically know to kick off this specific intent. Same thing with the transcribe audio. It has different utterances. So it will recognize that and kick off transcribing. You guys also added some closing responses, fulfillments, and other features. But today we're going to be using Terraform to do all that so that you're not clicking through the console. Just in case you have to make more than one bot, you can automate that and create as many as you like. So what are we trying to accomplish? You'll convert yesterday's manual bot creation into Terraform configuration. This means writing resource blocks for intents, slot types. Remember that slot types is that the key important data that the bot is looking for. So for example, for the analyze text, it's looking for the actual text to look at. So it's looking for intent, slot types, and the bot itself. Learning how Terraform handles the dependencies between these resources by the end of today, you can deploy identical bots to any environment with a single command. So we have one lesson and then two labs and one challenge. We have two labs because the original lab was made with Amazon Lex version 1, but that recently got deprecated in September of 2025. So now there's a newer and updated version 2, that you will be using. And the key point I want you guys to get out of this, I mentioned it earlier, is that AI is still a new field. So everything is brand new and still improving. So there's going to be a lot of changes really fast, really quick. You just have to keep up with it and constantly study and learn what those changes are. There's going to be a lot of troubleshooting while learning this. So TLOs automate LexBot infrastructure using Terraform instead of manual console operations. Manage complex resource dependencies between Lex resources, which is intents, bots, aliases, and create environment-aware Terraform configurations that scale from dev to production. ELOs write Terraform resource blocks for Lex intents, bots, and aliases. Use Terraform locals for computed values and conditional logic. Configure CloudWatch log groups for Lex conversation logging. Apply Terraform configurations and verify deployment with AWS CLI. We have our glossary section at the bottom too. You guys can take a look at that. So if there's no questions, we're going to go ahead and get started with the first lesson. Okay. So the flow will be the lesson. Then we're going to go through Amazon Lex version 1, just so you guys can see what the difference is between V1 and V2. I personally like the V1 better because it's easier to grasp and less syntax, less complicated syntax, but we'll see that in a little bit. So for the lesson, Lex Terraform Infrastructure overview. Yesterday, you built a conversational bot through the console, clicking through forms, configuring intent, testing in the browser. It works, but there's a problem. If you need to recreate that bot, you'd have to click through everything again, and that's going to take a long time. If you needed three environments, dev, staging, and prod, you do it 3 times and hope you didn't make a typo somewhere. So being able to create this through Terraform 2 will simplify things and mitigate that risk with differences between the bots. So everything will be exactly the same. So today we're going to fix that. By the end of this lesson, you'll understand how to define Lex bots as Terraform code infrastructure that's repeatable, version controlled, and deployable anywhere. So why Terraform for conversational AI? Think about what happens when your bot needs change. Someone tweaks an utterance, adds a slot, updates a response. In the console, those changes exist only in AWS. There's no history, no review process, no way to see what changed last Tuesday when things break. With Terraform, your bot configuration lives in files you can commit, diff, and review. Want to know what changed? You'd use git diff. Need to roll back, use git revert. Deploying to a new region, Terraform apply with different variables. So I was thinking while I was reading this, you can see the history through something maybe like CloudTrail or config, but that's a lot of work, unnecessary work at that. So Terraform is the best thing to use. The same patterns you use for EC2 instances and Lambda functions apply to Lex. That's the point. Conversational AI becomes just another piece of infrastructure you manage with the same tools. So Lex resource architecture. Lex resources have a dependency chain. You can't create a bot without intents, and you can't create intents without that reference custom slot types until those types exist. So the hierarchy goes from custom slot types to intents to bot to the bot alias. So let's go ahead and look at each layer. Slot types. In Terraform, it'll be defined with AWS Lex slot type. It defines custom vocabulary for your domain. If you're building a bot for a coffee shop, you might define slot types for drink sizes, milk options, or flavor shots. Lex's built-in types, Amazon.number, Amazon.date, handle common patterns, but business-specific vocabulary needs custom types. So again, remember, the slots are pretty much the key important data that the bot needs to have in order to make a good response. So here's what a custom slot type looks like. We have the slot type resource, and then the name for the block. And then we have the actual name for the AI for the slot type. It's AI service types. Description is just telling you what this whole block is about. So it's available AI services. We have enumeration value. These are pretty much the different services. So value, sentiment analysis. You can see synonyms for that would be sentiment, mood analysis, text analysis. Same thing with over here. For transcription, you could see something like speech to text, audio conversion, or transcribe. The synonyms let users say mood analysis, and Lex resolves it to sentiment analysis, the canonical value your code expects. So kind of think back to when we were, I think it was AWS Poly, when we made those, I forgot what those tags were, but you know how when it's reading through the text, it will, if it says something like AWS, you can put it in that document and it'll say Amazon Web Services instead. It's kind of think of it a little bit like that. It just relates these words to uh, this value. For intents, so we have AWS Lex intent defines what users want to accomplish. Each intent has sample utterances, how users phrase requests, and slots, which is the information. So over here in our example, we have AWS Lex intent. We have the name of the code block. And then again, we have the name of the actual intent with the description for it and what it does. So keep in mind, this right here is for V1, Amazon Lex V1. I'll show you guys what V2 looks like. Just keep in mind how kind of simple this is right here. Not too much nesting going on between different parameters. So same thing with how you guys created that analyze text intent yesterday through the console. You have your sample utterances. So that's pretty much the same thing as what you put over here yesterday. And then here's an example of your slot, and your slot. You specify your slot down here, your text input, the type, and the constraint, whether it's required or not. And then you have your value elicitation prompt, which is what Amazon Lex asks the user if there was no shot or text provided. So if it hasn't gotten all the data yet, this is what would be given to the user. So it would ask, what text would you like me to analyze if you didn't provide that? And then fulfillment activity is just when Lex has all the slot values and returns the collected data to the backend instead of anything else. So this is if there's no slots, and then this is if it has all the slots. Notice that text input is a placeholder in the utterances that tells Lex where the slot value appears in the sentence. So again, here's the example here and here. Any questions so far? Okay, we're gonna move on to bots. So this is what actually creates the bot itself. So AWS Lex bot, it ties intents together into a conversational interface. A bot references one or more intents and defines behavior when things go wrong. So here we have our resource AWS Lex bot with a name. We're specifying the actual name of the bot that gets created in AWS. And then we have a child-directed argument. So this is pretty much asking if this bot is for users 13 and younger. So if it's true, it will be. If not, then it's for all ages. And then process behavior. You can either have build or save here. So build is doing exactly what you guys did yesterday after you created the bot by pressing this build button. Save will just save the configuration so that you can manually update it later on. Within the bot, we're just referencing the intents that we made up above. So we have the analyze text, name and version. And then, of course, if you have the transcribe intent, you would have it here too. And then abort statement and classification prompt. So abort statement is just saying if it's aborting the task, it will give you this message. So sorry, I'm having trouble. Please try again. So at that point, just just go ahead and retry. Clarification prompt is if it didn't understand what the prompt you were giving it, it will give you this message. So I didn't catch that. Could you rephrase it? Any questions? I think someone posted on the chat.
Yeah, I have a question about permissions.
Mhm.
Are we to assume a specific role, or do we already have the necessary permissions?
So with with Amazon Lex V2, you do have to give Terraform the role so that it can uh create the bot and all the resources that you need. Uh, but
What? Sorry.
I'll go ahead.
I'm sorry. Was there a particular role we needed? Which role should we use for this?
We'll see that in one of the labs.
Okay,
Yep. So, and if it doesn't answer your question, just re-ask it. Okay.
sure.
All right. So, like I was saying, the process behavior tells Lex to compile the bot after creation. It's the same thing as pressing this build button right here. Uh, Without this, you'd have a configured bot that doesn't actually work until you manually build it. So if you perhaps put the save instead. Bot aliases, it provides a stable reference point for client applications. Instead of pointing your app at a specific bot version, which changes every time you update, you point at an alias that you control. So over here we have our alias resource, the name of the code block, and maybe you'd have something like dev or stage over here. Kind of think of alias as uh, a namespace. That's kind of how it works. So every time you push an update to production, it's just going to create a new version, and it'll keep track of that. So we're referencing the bot name and then the bot version and just the name of the alias. So when you deploy a new bot version, you update the alias to point to it. Your application code doesn't change. It still calls the production alias. That's how you get zero downtime deployments. Dependencies do matter. Terraform usually figures out dependencies automatically. If resource B references an attribute of resource A, Terraform creates A first, but with Lex, you need to be explicit about references. So this work, so this would work. You have your intent, uh, you have the name of the analyzed text intent, and then the version of it, and then this one doesn't has the analyzed text, and then if you put the latest, I guess this one, the second version might seem to work, but Terraform doesn't see the dependency. It might try to create the bot before the intent exists. Reference the resource, not the string. So yeah, the point of this is you have to be real specific in pointing the name and the version of it, rather than I guess maybe if you hard code it, it'll uh, think of it as another resource. So built-in versus any questions on this section real quick? Does that make sense? You have to be specific with the resource you are specifying. So built-in versus custom slot types. Before creating custom slot types, check if a built-in type handles your case. Built-in types you'll see often. You have your alphanumeric number, date, time. So the first one is just text and numbers. Use file names, ID, short inputs, number, of course, numerical values, date. You can see something like tomorrow, next Friday, yesterday, December 15th, and time, 3 p.m., 15:30, noon. You would create custom types when you have business specific vocabulary, so product names, department codes. You need synonyms that map to canonical values, or you want to constrain input to a specific set of options. Most bots work fine with the built-in types, so custom types just adds complexity. We have the environment configuration. So production infrastructure typically needs different settings per environment. We handle that with variables and locals. So variable, so we're specifying two variables right here. That would this is going to go into our variables.tf. So, or I mean, you could really put it anywhere, but yeah, so it's a variable. So generally you put in variables.tf. You can have it in your main.tf, which looks like this example would have this code all in one file. So the first one just specifies a variable called environment, and then another one called session timeout, and it describes the type and the description of that variable. You can also put your default, or you can leave it out. Because if you have your what is it called, the Terraform.tf vars, uh, the values that you input on that file will override this default. So this, I kind of think of variables.tf file as if you have a .tf vars file as well. I think of it as a kind of just a description of what each variable is, and then that .tf vars file, I kind of think of it as a if you guys have worked with a .env, is just your keys and values. So we also have our locals. So our bot name over here, and then our timeout. So now Terraform apply, if you put in this flag right here, creates a bot with the right name and timeout for production. Same code, but different configuration. Error handling, bots fail, users say things you didn't anticipate, and slots don't get filled. Your error handling configuration determines whether that's a frustrating dead end or a recoverable moment. So for that, two blocks matter. The clarification prompt, what the bot says when it doesn't understand. So max attempts, it'll try 2 times, and it will give this message. I can help with sentiment analysis or audio descript or transcription. Which would you like? So it's pretty much just specifying what the bot can do. So it kind of helps the users just narrow down their prompt. Abort statement, what happens after max attempts fail? It's just going to give you, I'm having trouble understanding. Let me connect you with support or whatever you guys decide to put in here. Generic messages like I don't understand, waste the user's time. Specific messages that explain what the bot can do, helps users recover. So, I mean, think about the difference if you just saw I'm having trouble understanding versus uh, I'm having trouble understanding what you meant by this specific part or something. There's a big difference, and it'll help you clarify it more. So what's coming? Today's lab will take you through creating this infrastructure hands-on. You'll write the Terraform, apply it, and see your bot appear in the console, created from code instead of clicks. Tomorrow, you guys will be learning about how to create multiple resources and lifecycle rules for managing updates and conditional logic for environment-specific resources. The foundation you build today is what those patterns will extend. So I know that was a lot of information, but kind of, I guess, think of it. You gotta You have to create your bot, your intent, your slot, and then your alias if you have different namespaces. And then you also have to just like with coding, you have to handle errors. So you have to think about that as well. Any questions on this lesson? Any
Just to double check. Thank you for that. I did see it in the lab. The specific question about the what role Terraform need to assume. So today we're doing labs 1 and 2 and 3, or are we doing the challenge 2, or what would you recommend today?
So what I would recommend is to work on the challenge, but so I, I will tell you guys right now. So
Yeah.
Lab 1's not going to work because it is deprecated. It got
Okay.
deprecated in September 2025. I just kind of wanted to go through it with you guys so that you guys
Okay.
can see the difference between the two. And I feel like version 1 of Amazon Lex is easier to understand and grasp kind of what's happening because version 2 has a lot more nested syntax and just uh, different verbiage and just a little bit more difficult to understand. And
Okay.
then
Thank you
uh
for.
and then Lab V2. So do you guys remember when I was explaining uh this little uh squiggly line in the version right here, the tilde? This is saying I want a version of 4.16 or higher, but I don't want it to reach version 5. And while I was explaining that to you guys, I was saying that I'm using 4.16 because uh, this provider hashcorp dot a slash forward slash AWS, uh, the later versions, the plugins within those later versions are not as stable on silicone chips. So like uh, M chips on Apple. So the second lab might work for some of you guys, but for myself, it did not work. But we're going to try and see if we can actually run Terraform on an EC2. We're just going to create this EC2 instance from week 7, day 1, and just go in there and see if we can run that Terraform file. So that's pretty much what the plan of the day is. Is there any questions?
Okay, thank you for explaining that. That's good. You want to just give us context for Lab 1, how it worked, even
Mhm.
and make it was more straightforward for us to understand.
Yep, yep.
But we might have issues even with our Lab 2. But this is just for us to start looking at it, the different use cases for the how to use this tool X. Okay, but the key thing is try to get to the challenge if we can. Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, and
Okay.
like I'm saying, or like I was saying, there's a lot of updates constantly going on. You guys
Mhm.
will see that as well with LangChain. LangChain is just pretty much a framework that allows you to build more complex AI applications faster. And you can add things to it like agents and other components more easily compared to just manually doing it. But even that, it has a strong community support. I suggest you guys look into it now because I think we're getting into it week 13. It's coming up, but it's something to just look ahead on. And there's constant updates going on with LangChain. So it's, I guess that's the name of the game right now. Just constantly learning new things with AI. Any questions before we get into lab 1? And so I was saying version 1 is deprecated. So Uh, AWS discontinued the use of it in September 2025. But I the thing is, V2 doesn't work on the earlier versions of HashiCorp HashiCorp AWS for this provider. So it kind of sucks because V2 from when I was testing it out was only working uh, on versions 6.0 and above for me, but it would give me an error timeout because, like I was saying, it has problems with the chip and it's not as stable. So some of the Terraform validate runs I was doing was being successful, and then most of the times it was error giving me an error timeout code. And then Terraform plan didn't even work on my machine. So hopefully it works on your guys's. So we'll see. Okay, so for the first lab, yesterday you built a bot through the console. Today we're going to recreate that exact bot using Terraform, same intents, same slots, same behavior, but defined as code. Our objectives for today for this lab is to create a Terraform configuration for Lex intents and bot, understand resource dependencies and creation order, deploy and validate infrastructure via Terraform, and verify the bot matches your manual creation. So we're just gonna go through it real quick. Uh, I'm gonna move my screen or this window to my other screen. So if you have it up, just follow along. Going to create a new directory. So I'm going to make a directory called week 9, day 1, V1. I will cd into that new directory. Do an ls, and then just open up VS Code. So after you created your directory and open up VS Code, within that directory, you want to create a few files. We're going to create main.tf, create variables.tf, terraform.tf vars, outputs.tf, lex intents.tf, lex bot.tf. Let's just go do an ls to see it got created. And yep, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have all our 6 files. So after we created those files within main.tf, we want to add our providers block. And right now, line 14 is underlined because we haven't created our variables.tf file yet. But also, one thing you always got to remember, because this might cause some issues in the future. Oh, if you have multiple AWS CLI profiles, go ahead and add your profile in here. And it has to be double quotes. So we have our Terraform version. We want at least 1.0. We want the highest. And then for our providers for HashiCorp AWS, we want the version to be at least 5.0, but not greater than 6.0. And we'll just go ahead and change that to 6.0 right here. I think the highest version right now is 6.25. But keep in mind that some of these versions uh, really aren't stable with the M chips. So keep that in mind. Okay, now we're going to add the locals block for computed values. So over here, the bot name combines the project and environment so we can deploy the same code to dev, staging, and prod without name conflicts. And that's just getting those variables from the variables.tf file. For common tags, we have project, environment, and then managed by Terraform. So if you want to specifically target everything in a certain environment, maybe like prod, everything, uh, all resources that have this same tag will get affected. Next thing we want to do is actually put in our variables in the variables.tf file. So we have our AWS region, project name, and environment, along with defaults. But like I said, when we actually put in some keys and values in our .tf vars file, it's going to disregard those default values if it's listed within the other file. So now we want to actually add more variables. We added session timeout and then enable versioning. We'll go ahead and save that. We go to our TF vars file. We're actually putting in the values that we want. So AWS region, project name, environment, session timeout, and enable versioning. So remember, with your project names, always be specific. So since we're not working in teams like that, just go ahead and add your first name. And that'll be the same thing for your bot name as well. So now that we have our main.tf and then our variables, we want to go to Lex intents and actually create the first intent, which will be the analyze text. We will be adding more to this resource, so that's why it hasn't been closed off yet and everything is underlined in red. But before we continue, we have our name, line 2, description, and then the utterances that the bot looks for so that it can find out to complete this task. And again, this is the slot, so the important information that the bot needs. And we're going to specify what the configuration for that right underneath. So within our slot, we have the name, text to analyze, which you can see in the utterances, description, priority, constraint, the type, and then the elicitation prompt. So if the bot doesn't get this slot, it would ask this question. So if it doesn't think of slot as important data. Next thing we want to do is add the fulfillment activity, confirmation prompt, and rejection statement. And now everything is also unhighlighted because we closed the AWS Lex intent resource off with that closing squiggly brackets. So we added the fulfillment activity. Remember, if it has all the data that it needs, it just sends it to the backend. Confirmation prompt is just asking, reconfirming if you that was the data, if that was the correct data that you specified that you want the bot to analyze. So if you say no, it will give you this rejection statement. So it'll say, okay, I won't analyze that text. What else can I help with? If you say yes, then it's going to give you your prompt. So we'll save that. And then right underneath that, here, let's just name this real quick. So this will be the text to analyze intent. And then right below that, we're creating another intent. So this will be the transcribe audio intent. And it's pretty much just going to follow that same pattern that we used above. So we want to specify that Lex intent code block, that resource. It says the name, the utterances, and then right below the utterances, we're going to specify the slots. So the name is the audio file. And right under the slot, we want, again, the fulfillment activity, confirmation prompt, and the rejection statement. So fulfillment will return the intent, confirmation prompt, just clarifying, rejection statement, uh, asking if the bot can help with anything else. So you now have two intents defined within this file. And notice how repetitive it is. If you wanted to add more, you just do the same pattern. Tomorrow, you guys are going to use the for each to define multiple intents from a single block of code. But for now, explicit is fine. It's clear when you're learning the structure. So now we're actually going to, after the intent, we're going to create the bot using the AWS Lex bot resource. So within this resource, currently we have our the name for the bot, the description, as well as the environment, our timeout, and then the child directed. Remember that's if it's for users 13 or younger, which is set to false, and then process behavior if you want to build or save it, and then if you want to enable versioning. So let's go ahead and look at our variables.tf real quick to see what it says. So over here it says true, but remember the Terraform.tf vars will override that. So let's see if we have it listed in there and it's true. So we're good to go on that. So after this section right here, we want to reference both intents. So we're referencing the analyzed text and the transcribed audio. intent. And this is just giving the name and the version. And remember, don't hard code it. Just actually refer to that specific resource. And last thing is we want to add a error handling. So we have our abort statement. So sorry, I'm having trouble. Please try again later. And then clarification prompt. I can help with text analysis or audio transcription. Which would you like? And then here, this is underlined because uh, Amazon Lex V1 does not take tags. So we'll just comment that out. Doesn't take tags for the specific bot. But let me clarify that. So right under the bot resource, we're going to specify our alias. And remember, kind of just think of alias as a namespace. Is pointing where you want the update to happen. This case, this is named as production, and it's the production alias for the bot we just created. This right here, it just makes it conditional. So when versioning is disabled, this resource doesn't exist. When enabled, it creates exactly one alias. So a bot alias lets you say pretty much lets you say what version and environment it should point to. When you release new versions, you point which environment it goes to. Uh, Again, think of it like a namespace. Depending on, and then this, oh, you guys can't see my screen. Hold on. Or actually, yeah, you guys can see the code. My bad. So yeah, this part right here, it just makes the alias optional. So depending on whether you have versioning enabled or not, it ensures that at most one alias is created. If versioning isn't enabled, it's not going to create the alias resource because you'll only be pointing to that one live bot that you created. So it's not in different namespaces or anything. You only have that one bot. Does that make sense? Any questions on this line right here?
And that's in the lag spot file, right? Okay, great. Thank you for that. Okay.
Mhm. Yep, yep.
Make sure version is enabled. Okay.
Again, this just makes it conditional. If versioning is enabled, it will point to that specific namespace and only create that one. And then if versioning is not enabled, well, that means you're really just working with one live chatbot and you don't want it in different environments or namespaces.
Okay. Okay, good. And it's better to try to hard code the lease, right? Refer to the resource, right? That's best practice, right?
Yep, yep, yep,
Okay.
exactly.
Overall, thanks.
Mhm. Yep, just with coding in general, just try not to hard code things, especially if it's like important data, maybe like a access key or something. Always just create a either a .env file or uh this .tf vars, and then you would throw the name of those files into your .get ignore file so that whenever you push it up to say GitHub, uh, those files won't be pushed up for everybody to be able to see, and only you have the eyes on it. Does that make sense, Kevin?
Yes, indeed. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yep, yep. Okay. So now
So,
after, go ahead, Kevin.
Okay, so would this come in? Okay, so if you got tasked with this at work, just to give me greater context, so this is good. So would this typically come in? This would be like on a backlog or added to like a sprint or epic, or would it come in like a random like a Jira ticket?
For which aspect?
Would okay, so what we're doing today, so this would the challenge today be broken up, and if this was like among a team, among various people, or would one person probably be tied to this?
Honestly, it would be, I guess, up to your work environment.
Okay.
'Cause sometimes, like you'll get one person will get tasked with a Jira ticket, but like if you need help with it, you can still work with a teammate to get it done.
hmm
Does that answer your question?
Kind of, just in kind of like, and I mean, in terms of this kind of tasking, right? Because it's interesting for me, like to really see. I really like how you guys break down how to do it, and also like, so I guess I'm asking, would this stuff be like in epics, or would it be more tied to the day-to-day churn? You know?
I would say it would be more epic because it's at a
Oh,
greater scale. If
okay,
if it's like a task or something, it's probably
yeah.
just gonna be something with maybe creating another bot or modifying the intent, something along those lines on a smaller scale.
hmm Thank you for that. That just helps,
Mhm.
me understand even better. I appreciate it.
Yep, yep.
Not directly related, but helpful for me insight.
All right. So next thing we're going to want to do after we created the bot or the bot and then our alias is to create our outputs.tf just so that we can quickly refer to certain variables and outputs. So of course we want our bot name, bot version, bot status, and then the alias name. So these outputs will give you the information you need to test and integrate the bot. And then the next steps after this would be to actually run Terraform init, Terraform validate, uh, Terraform plan, apply, to actually deploy everything. But like I was saying, Amazon Lex V1 is deprecated, so there's no point in doing that. It'll give, let's see what it gives us. Let's just follow through it. So let's do Terraform init, Terraform. So you notice it said, give me the highest available version within 6.0, and that is 6.25. So Terraform has been successfully initialized. Next thing we want to do is check our syntax with Terraform validate. And see, this is where it gets caught up because I'm using a M4 chip and uh, the version, this version is not compatible with it. Sometimes Terraform validate will be successful, but 9 times out of 10, it just gets caught up right here. And I did try running this on an earlier version. Let's go ahead and try that. So this is the error it gives or what's happening. So failed to load the plugin schemas. So the plugin is having problems with compatibility with the chip. Let's see what would happen if we reinitialize this to uh, version 4. We can run so a good workflow if you're trying to troubleshoot something too is just get rid of your .terraform directory. so that you don't have all that cache. And then also get rid of the .terraform lock. This will allow you to start from scratch. Ah, damn. Okay. And then just to be safe, I like throwing in these tags with Terraform init. So the upgrade flag, and then the uh, is it reorganized? Let me see, forget.
I think it's reconfigure,
Yeah,
right?
yep, reconfigure. So the difference between these two flags is the upgrade involves the providers, and then the reconfigure just involves the backend. So we reinitialized it with this version 4.6.0. Let's try running Terraform validate. I'm thinking this one said success. Let's do Terraform plan. But I'm 99% sure it's just going to get caught up over here. Or it actually gives a, ooh, okay, we'll see. We'll follow through with it. Expected value named match. Okay, so this is giving an error because of the naming convention. It does not accept hyphens. It only accepts underscores. So let's go backtrace it. So on lexbot.tf line 2 is trying to get the bot name. So local.bot name. Let's find where that is. I think it's in the main.tf. Yep, so bot name right here. Let's try changing these to underscores and let's see what we get. Let's rerun Terraform plan. Okay, we have to do one more change for the project name variable. So we'll go to that .tf vars. We'll just get rid of this Eric and then change this to underscore. We got rid of the Eric because it's popping up right here. And then we're just changing the hyphen to an underscore right here. Let's go ahead and run Terraform plan again. I am surprised it's working right now. That's good though. All right. So after we do a Terraform plan, let's just go through the configuration, the blueprint. see what's getting created. So Terraform will perform the following actions. It's going to create the bot, as you can see on this line, the alias, intent, the slots. So our outputs are going to be the alias name, bot name, status, and version. So let's go ahead and do Terraform apply. I am seriously surprised it's working. So let's enter a value, yes. Oh, okay. Just kidding. So notice the error now. It says uh, bad request. Amazon Lex V1 has reached end of life. Modifications and build time operations are now disabled. So it was teasing us, and we can't create those resources. So we'll see what the changes are within V2 compared to V1. But yeah, that kind of sucks. But you'll this is a good opportunity because you'll be able to get better with and understand more with Amazon Lex. You'll see the different syntaxes, but it still makes sense though. So this was your V1 uh, Amazon Lex V1 example. Are there any questions before we move on to V2? Okay, let's go ahead and get started with lab 2. Just go ahead and pull that up and follow along. I'll also keep this up so we can just kind of reference both of them. So first thing we want to do is go up one directory. I'm going to create a new directory called week 9 day 2 V2. I'm just now realizing I named the other repo day 1 or the other directory day 1. Okay, and then we're going to open up a VS Code window. All right. So for our project setup, we're pretty much doing the same thing. This is a similar lab to the first one we just did, but with different syntax, different and updated syntax. So first thing we want to do is create our main.tf, variables.tf, and all our files. So we're creating 6 files, main.tf, variables.tf, our tf vars, output.tf, lex intents, and lexbot. Just doing ls, just double check everything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're good to go there. Like the first lab, we're gonna start out with our providers. and we have version 5.0. We're just going to switch to 6. And don't forget to put in your profile. After we have our providers section, we want our locals. I'm going to switch this to an underscore. And then just throw your name at the end. So next step, we're gonna fill out our variables.tf. We're throwing in our AWS region, project name, and environment, as well as the so we have our AWS region, project name, environment, and then we also want our session timeout and local ID. And then after our variables, we want our TF vars. Just throw in your keys and values. Again, let's switch this AI services to underscore, which kind of makes me confused because I was double checking on the AWS console.
And you can have dashes in the name?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Maybe it's just a Terraform thing. But notice see over here you can have dashes. I don't see any underscores, but we'll just follow what Terraform says. So notice over here we don't have our enable our versioning. We have a local ID. Our local ID is pretty much just specifying it just specifies the language and regional setting for the bot. So English US. So after our TF vars file, we're going to go to our lexbot.tf. Notice how everything so far has been pretty similar, minus some of the variables, but everything is pretty much the same as the first lab. So let's go to our lexbot.tf. First thing we want to do is create that IAM role. So this just creates a role for Terraform to be able to create the bot. And then over here in this block, we're just attaching that policy to the specific role. After we created our roles and policies, we want to add the bot resource itself.
So I'm lost. Are we working on lab 2?
Yep. Currently we're working on lab 2. We're on step 4.2.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Notice how in Amazon Lex V1 we didn't have to create the role or the policy. We just went straight to it and created the bot. So that's one of the differences. Go ahead and name this too. So for the bot resource, so our first resource for the bot was called AWS Lex Bot, but for V2, it has now been switched to AWS Lex V2 Models Bot. And then name still stays the same, description, the timeout, but we're also adding the role ARN, which we're getting from that specific from above. And then we're also still adding the child directed, but now it's contained within a data privacy block, whereas before we just kind of put it with the rest of the arguments. And then we have our tags, where before we couldn't add tags, now we can. So this bot is just a container. All the conversational logic lives in the locale. So we're going to add the locale resource, which we didn't have before in the first lab. So this is all the conversational logic. So you're just specifying the bot ID, the version, the locale ID, which is again ENU English US. And then we have this argument right here. It's just how certain Lex needs to be before matching an intent. Lower is more permissive. So that's just something you can kind of mess with. And then our voice ID, which for in this case, we have Joanna. Next thing we want to do is create our Lex intents.terraform. So we're going to be actually creating our intents here. We're going to create our first intent, which is the analyze text. So note there are some differences here from the first lab, from version 1. Again, is the resource name. Before it was just AWS Lex intent. Now it's AWS Lex V2 models intent. And then we have the name of the code block. We specify our bot ID, version, and locale ID. Where before we just specified name and description and then got straight to the sample utterances. But for version 2, before everything, you specify these three, and then it's kind of the same format. It's similar. It's a similar format by having the name of the intent and then the description. But notice how the utterance is not in one block, like from version 1. Each utterance has to have its own separate block for version 2. So that block would be the argument would be called sample utterance, and you just throw in the text inside. And then next thing we have is, so we don't have our slots in this actual resource. We have our so this is, instead of having a confirmation prompt block, like I was saying, everything is like nested. So over here, we have a confirmation setting, which goes into prompt specification, message group, message. And then we finally get to the value, which is the same as this one right here. You want me to analyze this text. Is that correct? Like I was saying, version 1 was a lot more simpler and easily more digestible, and it's just, I feel like it's way better syntax than this right here, because that's kind of difficult to remember. You specify your max retries as well. And then right after that, you have your rejection statement, which is now called a declination response, which is also nested within message group, message, and then the value. So, okay, I won't analyze that text. What can I help with? And then we have a fulfillment code hook. Let me see what that is. I assume that's kind of like a fulfillment activity, but let's go ahead and see what it does. Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing as the original fulfillment activity. So it's specifying whether to return for backend or Lambda. Okay. So in version 1, we had our slots actually within the intent resource block. But now in V2, it is its own separate code block. So right after your intent, you're gonna want to create your slots. So for version 2, remember, create your intent block and then your slots block. This is the name of the resource, or the resource. This is the resource type, and then this is the name of the specific resource. We specify bot ID, version, locale ID, and intent ID. And then we get to some of the similar arguments that you saw from version 1, which is the name, description. Is there priority? There's no priority here. We have a slot type ID, which we can find in version 1 as well, right here, but no priority. We have our slot constraint, which was seen in the first version as well. And then now we actually have our prompt specification, which is the same thing as the elicitation prompt. So if it doesn't have all the data, all the slots that it needs, it's going to ask this specific question. Any questions so far? I know that's a lot of information. So all of this is just for the first intent. To create the second intent, you pretty much again follow the same pattern. So going to create the transcribe audio intent. We want our intent code block with a bot ID, version, locale ID, name, description, the utterances, confirmation, prompt or setting, and then the what it says if you decline that prompt. After that intent, we want to place our slots for this specific one. And we have our ID version, locale ID, intent ID, name of the slot, description, type, constraint, and then prompt specification, and the number of retries. So after we have created our intents along with their slots, we are going to go to outputs. And just specify our bot ID, bot name, locale ID, and then just a test URL. We'll go ahead and do the same thing. Let's see what we get once we start deploying it. Also, let me know if anyone gets it to work, if it works on their system. So we'll do a Terraform init. You see the directory pop up, as well as the lock file. Now let's do a Terraform validate. And this is the part where it's going to get caught up for me. Are there any questions? Yep, see, it's taken much longer than expected. Let's try to see if we can force quit it. Can't even do that. Did anybody get a successful message return back or validate?
I think I got validate to work.
You did? Can you try Terraform plan now? Let's see if it works. Do you have a MacBook?
No.
No, okay, okay.
Yeah, I did all the way up to apply, but then it said something about, as far as I can tell, circular referencing, and it wouldn't let me go.
Okay. Yeah, I think
So I'm trying to figure that out.
yeah, I think I ran into that error as well. I don't remember what it is right now, but that's a good troubleshooting step. You want to share your screen? We can try to figure it out.
I can't share until you stop.
All right.
Screen one. Okay. Can y'all see?
Mm-hmm.
Terraform. Let's do plant. Show you what's happening. Two to change, zero to destroy. Okay. Terraform a fly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. This is where I hit. Yeah. Okay. So the slot audio file and sample utterance for intense blah blah blah. It's not valid.
Oh, I think version 2 made a difference or made a change actually where you can't put in the slot in the utterances. I think that's what it's trying to say. So, uh, where's the yeah, just go back to your intents file.
Okay. Lex intense.
Yep.
This is it. And then go to, so here we got, here's the intent block.
Mhm.
Here's a slot, at least by that name.
Mhm.
Let's collapse everything because that's too much. Okay. Yeah, the first two should be related to the text analyze. Yeah, analyze text. And this is also text analyze. Yep. And then the bottom two are the transcribe audio. So as far as I understand it, what it's saying is you can't have something's nested inside here improperly.
Yeah, I think because when I was doing the hands-on or the lab through the console yesterday, I was having trouble with actually putting those slot variables within the utterances. So I took them out.
Yeah, that's basically what it was saying to do,
Mhm.
was to do it without that and then add them back in later, but I'm not sure I understand. So like right here,
Mhm.
take this out of these utterances. That's the
Yeah,
problem, is that
yeah, yep.
it's like trying to call a variable before it's been created or something and it's having issues basically.
Hmm. Yeah, let's try
Mm.
just changing those two. So for that one, would say like analyze this for me, and then yeah, just change
Something
it
like
to
that.
like this, that.
This this for me was a cement of just this.
Yeah, yeah. Let's do it. You can do this text too.
That's just auto-completing.
Yeah.
I didn't accept it, but motive this text this.
Hey, Eric, would this be a case where you could use like depends on within Terraform? So then, um, like it would make sure that it's created, like the text to analyze variables created before this gets created, before all of this goes through. Would
You,
that be a case for that?
you said which one? Like
Like within Terraform, they have the depends on, I think is what it's called.
oh yeah, yep. Actually, yeah. That's actually that might be the solution, a solution.
Yeah,
So you
yeah, I
wanna
wasn't sure about it, but I thought I would ask.
do you remember how the syntax goes? Uh,
Not off the top of my head, no.
Let's see.
So do you want me to leave those out?
Uh, Actually, try putting them back. Right now, I'm looking up the depends on syntax because so you in a resource you can tell it to wait for it to be created until another resource has been created first.
Okay, yeah, just easy. It depends on equals bracket
Yep.
the resource.
Yep.
And if you have multiple dependencies, you separate it with commas. Okay, okay. Dang. ChatGPT talks way too much. I don't need a short story. Okay, so, and the error being, I got couple. It's more than one. It makes sense because it's happening twice. Once with probably the text validator, analyze text, and once with the transcribe audio.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so we need to include a depends on for both of them. In what way?
So I would just put it all the way at the bottom of each code block inside, and then just reference your slots. So put it in the intent resource. Yeah, the intent
This
resource.
guy right here.
Yep. And
So,
then reference your
so not in the slot. We're
yep,
gonna
yep, not in
in the intent at the bottom, and we're gonna call. So what's the format looks to be the official provider name dot the name that I actually call it.
Mhm.
So let's see if that works. So the official provider name dot thing I actually end up calling it in my file. Maybe. Text analyze. Okay. And then we want to do the same thing, if that's correct,
Mhm.
to transcribe audio. Lex two models, text analyze. That should be audio file. That's okay. Worth a try.
Yep. Now let's see.
Was it plan that failed? Let's see.
I think it was apply. What is that?
Error, error.
Let's see.
Uh, I I don't need to run init again, right? After those changes, I shouldn't need to.
I don't think you need to, but might as well just try.
Why not? Also, I did downgrade my version of um Terraform as well because I was running into issues before this and it was version related because it by default it went up to like 6.25 or something and I was like,
Yep.
hey, yeah, there's a known issue in there. I was getting some bug that said, hey, it's the provider thing, so just downgrade. And I downgraded, so I got through that error. Now I got to this one.
Mhm.
Um, so let's see. So Terraform init worked. Terraform validate. Okay, what is this?
So
Cycle.
syntax related.
Is it?
I assume so because that's what I assume so because whenever I get something back from Terraform validate, I assume it's all syntax because validate is more for syntax and then plan is the actual like blueprint.
Cycle. That is not very descriptive.
Say something like, what does this error mean when I type in Terraform validate?
That's probably a better way to do it. Oh man, am I gonna get another short story on this? Holy shit. Short answer. Oh, look at that. Terraform detected a circular dependency between those two resources. Each one, directly or indirectly, depends on the other, so Terraform cannot order creation, update operations, and fails with a cycle error.
So maybe we can't. Okay, I'm
Or
thinking
maybe
we
we're doing,
can't do
maybe I'm doing
depends
it
on.
wrong.
I'm thinking we can't do depends on this resource. Sorry, Kim.
Resource must reference the intent. It has intent ID equals. So this slot implicitly depends on the intent.
Because from what
Oh,
I'm assuming, from what I'm reading, they have to be created at the same time, I assume.
well, it sounds like my guess, the whole cyclic thing is it's trying to make this, and by passing in this depends on, it's saying, hey, wait to build this until this is built. Then this thing starts getting built, or excuse me, this one starts getting built, but it depends on this one. And so they're going to just go back and forth and they can't actually do anything because they're both depending on each other.
Mm.
So maybe either we're using depends on wrong or maybe it doesn't need to be there. Interesting. Hey, is it comment is just slash slash?
Yep, yep.
Okay. It just knew. It just auto-completed. Just like get rid of the error. So that allows it to validate properly. That at least gets rid of the circular dependency or whatever you would call it.
But now we still
Um,
have that those variables within the utterances.
yeah, if I try to do the apply, it will.
Mm.
Let's just do it. Just to see the error fresh. Yep, just two errors and it's the same thing. It's the utterances. Reference a valid slot and try your request again. Change the utterances to reference a valid slot.
Wait, so did you try putting that in the AI
Mm,
prompt? See if see what it says.
let me change the version. I'm tired of GPT talking too much. Uh, why? Explain to me why.
Terraform plan is not working with my Amazon Lex V2 creation of intent and slots.
EWZ, let's try. Let's try that and see what it says. Cool, don't care. It's doing the same thing. Oh, this is a Raptor. Do any you guys know what Raptor Mini is?
It's actually the first time I've seen it.
Yeah, it just popped up the other day. I've never used it before, and I guess I clicked on it on accident just now, and now it acted exactly like ChatGPT, talking too much. What the error means in a plain summary, Terraform attempted to update the Lex intent analyzed text with the AWS Lex rejected the update with a validation exception because one of the intent's sample utterances references a slot name that Lex considers not valid for that intent at the moment of update. So it sounds like exactly what you were saying. It sounds like these are causing problems for some reason. This is not valid. That means that when Lex processed the intent update, the intent did not yet have a slot defined attached. That makes sense. Okay. That sounds exactly like what you said. Resource ordering, intent before slot. So can we make slots before we make an intent?
That's kind of what I'm confused on because slots go in intent. Like when you're going through the console, you make the intent and then you make the slots.
Yeah, I thought Terraform was smart enough to work this stuff out because it
Mhm.
seemed to do that really well with the all the EC2s and everything. Maybe that's just because
Yeah.
it's been worked out way more or something. Circular dependency statement. Anyway, so how to fix? Run these steps. Oh, also another thing I noticed that was interesting. If I do Terraform destroy, some stuff did get created if I could type destroy. because the Terraform destroy failed when I ran it earlier. Let's see if it does it again.
Oh, so the bot actually did get created?
Yeah. It got a couple things got created, but it failed partway through during the apply. And so I tried to destroy more Elixir. I'm like, hey, I want to start fresh. Let me start fresh on this thing. And the destroy actually failed. Okay. This time it looks like it worked. So never mind. Let's disregard that. That's nice. But now this won't work. So Terraform state list, grep state list, and we're going to look for V2 models, which there should be none. Yeah, because I just destroyed them. And then show JSON. I don't want to run that. Okay, fixing it. Recommended options. Move the, okay, this is what I tried and it was failing. Move the slot inline inside the intent. And it still failed. Maybe I just did it wrong. So instead of having them in two separate resources, it's inside, it was inside this one, inside the intent. The slot was inside the intent, but it was messing up for me earlier. Add a slot block inside the AWS intent resource so Terraform creates and updates the intent and slots together. No race conditions. Okay. Okay, let's try that. Does that sound like a reasonable plan?
Yeah, let's try it.
Okay, it says just, this is what I tried earlier, and that
But at the
didn't work.
same time, it's like, I'm thinking, what if it's thinking about a version 1 instead of version 2?
I did specify V2. Do these instructions work for Lex V2?
I say just give it the whole chunk of code for the intent and the slot, because there's nothing hard coded in there. It'd be like, how would you set up the slots inside the intent?
Yeah, it could probably do that for me almost instantly. Let's say list true.
Because I don't know, I'm just thinking like a resource block inside another resource block. I feel like that's going to cause some issues.
Okay, let's see what it does. So I don't like this. I don't want to see all this. At least not right now. It's kind of cool, but it's going so fast I can't even make sense of it, you know?
Mhm.
I mean, can y'all read that? I can't read that. Okay, so it looks like it did it. So it's getting rid of this, the duplicate resource outside, and then it stuck it in here using this slot bracket thing. Let's see. And then transcribe starts. Okay. So let's keep that. And it's throwing an error. The slot,
Yeah.
it doesn't like the slot. It doesn't unexpected block of type slot are not expected here. Terraform. So validate.
See, I'm thinking that the AI bot is getting confused with version 1 and version 2. It's kind of like mixing both of them up.
Yeah, let's see if it gets into a doom loop and just tries the same thing over and over and over. Have you ever had it do that for you before? Where it just tries the same thing over and over and over and over, and you
Yeah.
eventually have to stop it and say, "Hey, quit.
Yep,
You're not
yep.
going anywhere."
Just talking in circles.
Look at this. It discovered that the provider doesn't support a nested slot block inside of this.
Yep, yep.
I'll revert my previous changes, remove the inline slot, and restore the standalone resource so your configuration is valid again. Okay. Puts us back where we were. But does
Honestly, I
that?
think best bet is to remove those variables, man.
Okay.
let's see if maybe we can re-add it afterwards after everything's created. We'll see.
See if it's. I'll give it one more iteration to see if it comes up with something clever. And then if not, we'll just go back to how we had it. Okay. Good news. Blah, blah, blah. Yep. Looks like V2 does not support nested slot blocks inside. So it must have, yeah, it learned that from V1, tried it, but it doesn't work for V2 or something. For changes, we saw original error, cool, recommended. Look, it's saying to do what you said. Yeah, yeah. Remove the placeholders. Apply. Restore the sample placeholders. Okay. Okay. So right here, analyze this. So like that, analyze this text for me. What's the sentiment of this article? Checks the mood of this post. I need analysis of
That's a good thing you're doing that too, because
story.
yeah, remember everything has to be you want to try to make it as different as possible so that has a range of
Yeah,
scope.
I'm trying to think of all the different ways that someone would say something like this. Maybe make it a little more robust. Post, story, article, text, um, process.
This passage, I don't know.
That works for me. Okay. Sentiment.
And then there's another one, right? That one, yep, yep.
Yes. But I just want to validate. So that's all the sample utterances. But
Mhm.
now what about right here? The plain text messages, plain text message. You want me to analyze? Do you think I can leave this here or does that need to go as well?
Yeah, I think that's gonna have to go too, just for right now.
Analyze some words? No, some text. This text. Let's do that. Okay. Now this one no longer has any placeholders. Let's go ahead and do it down here too. Transcribe this
This audio.
audio. Convert this speech. I need, this would be better. This speech. So which of this would be? Convert this.
MP3 file? I don't know.
I was like MP4. No, MP4 is MP4 video?
Yeah,
This
yeah.
conversation. Need this speech transcribed. Process this MP3 for me. Turn this video into text. Okay, they're all gone. So let's validate, make sure I didn't make any typos. Okay. We just ran a destroy, so that should be everything. Yep, nothing to change, nothing to destroy, 8 to add.
It's working.
It's thinking. Completed, okay. Ooh,
Oh, damn.
nice try, nice try. Okay, hold on. Whoa. Okay, this is the same error I got earlier. Look, check this out. So it says at the bottom of all these, this is a bug in the provider which should be reported on the provider's own issue tracker.
That
Sweet.
was the same exact thing that I got after going through the lab.
Yeah, that's the first error I ran into, and that's why I downgraded. And then that error went away, but I got the other error, which I don't know. It's just so weird. I I think I know maybe why is when I downgraded, the downgrade was complaining about putting those placeholders in there, whereas previously the non-downgraded version wasn't complaining about it and just going straight to this error.
Mhm. So
But then go ahead.
one thing we could do is going to be a slow process, but go through each version from like 5.1, 5.2, go all the way up to to like 6.25.
Well, AI earlier mentioned that we can basically what it says that's doing here is produce an unexpected new value. There's some value that we're not giving inside the files, and it's just assuming some default. This is what it said. I don't know if this is true or not. And it's assuming a default, and the default's messing up for some reason. So it said what we could do is instead of letting the program guess and pick a default, we can go ahead and specify what value we want, and it might get rid of the error. So that's what I was going to try uh, next. So let's see.
We're trying to find what that default is or what it's complaining about.
Yeah. It was, and we could, put a default in for us that works, and then it, has the value, and it's not guessing, and hopefully it doesn't break it. It might still break though, so who knows?
Right.
So let's try asking what the error is. Oh, I forgot. We need to go grok. I don't know if I switched fast enough.
See, it's none of our faults. It's Terraform.
Well, I mean that's pretty cool. The whole this is a bug in the provider which should be reported on the
Mhm.
thing, and that's reassuring. I'm like, okay, it's not me. At
Yeah.
least I don't think, It's a if there's a known bug, then what can I do? Yeah. This sounds about right. So
The state and plan don't match.
yes, yes, because it defaulted to some value that our Terraform state didn't like, or Terraform plan didn't like.
So
Yeah, the provider is setting default blocks, mutating return state that your plan did not include, either a provider bug or an API behavior that isn't modeled in the provider's schema. Why this happens? Du-du-du.
I was thinking, remember last week we were looking at that output flag. Someone asked why what that message meant whenever we ran Terraform plan. So you can put an output flag to actually save that blueprint. Whereas if you don't put that output flag, it's just gonna recreate everything or replan everything and then apply those changes. So maybe I'm thinking maybe that would work.
Output plan. Oh, let's see. Let's see what it said. Okay, so all I did was I asked the AI to put in what for all each one of those errors, put
Mhm.
in the values so they match. So where did it add that? It added it inside. Okay, in two spots inside the slots. Okay, the slots for both text and transcribe. They've got all these new values put in here. Yeah, it's there and it should be here as well. Yep. Okay. So I'm going to keep those. Let's do a validate to see if there's any issues. Oh, it's thinking hard now. Ooh, to destroy.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Okay, I see green. Bot ID. It's got a
Double check.
name. It's got a okay, okay. So now we got a test URL. So if I do said the lab said to do one more thing, Terraform output. Okay, that's just the same output. I thought so. Now test it. So if you go to this URL, oh, it's gonna want me to log in. Oops.
And I do see the bot on the console, so yep.
It showed up on okay on
Mhm.
the GUI. Look at that. AI services underscore Nick dev Nick. That sounds right.
Nice.
Now to test it, just test from here. Do I need to go into way down here? I have
Why
to
did it
build it
give a
first?
link? Why did it give a link like and it just take you to the console? It's kind of
It was trying to take me to an I wasn't signed in.
oh, okay.
And so since the page is protected, once I signed in, then it redirected me back here. So I think, and now if I probably just, well, let's see if that's the case. I assume it is. If I just click on it, it should take me directly to the bot now that I'm signed in. If my internet wasn't so bad.
Mhm.
Yeah, the link takes me directly to the bot. Now as far as testing goes, it says how we were doing it the other day was on the intents page, you had to come press build and then test, right?
Yep.
Transcribe. Well, those are them. Those are them. Okay. I guess I have to, it didn't build as part of the process. What does the lab say?
Could have sworn it had the build in there.
Manually find your bot and test it. Okay.
I saw a red banner. What was it?
A red banner?
Yeah.
Where on what?
On the console.
Oh no, like something bad happened?
Yeah.
Oh, couldn't build view details. Look at that.
These are upward, update to intent.
A slot priority. Update the intent to add a priority to these slots. I guess it wants to know if I want to prioritize transcribe audio or analyze text by default, but I don't care either way.
Oh yeah, it's that I think it's that priority argument that you would put into the code block.
So I think it's somewhere in here. Priority. Well, in which file?
Uh Go to the magnifying glass all the way to the left,
All the way to the
uh
left.
left hand panel.
Gotcha,
Yep.
gotcha.
And then search it over there.
Ah, okay. So terraform.tf state slot priority.
Okay, so we don't have it in any of the our actual files. So I'm assuming it's either going to go into the intent or the slot.
Here we go. AI to the rescue. Audio file.
I, I'm thinking the slot. Let me go back to the version 1 because I know we put it in there. Yeah, priority is going to go into the slot.
Okay. So
So in the same section where you have the name and description, just right underneath,
resource name description and then what is it?
priority equals 1. Yep. Hmm.
Priority is not expected here.
What happens if you try to put that priority in the intent?
No, that makes I think it would make sense we'd put it up there. Okay, go to bed. I think we can just toss it right here. Priority. Because I need priority. Because what was the error? Okay, let's see what he says. So it added, okay, here we go. It is in slot. So slot, there's a slot underscore priority,
Mhm.
bracket, priority equals 1, slot ID, text to analyze, and then it did it again. It should be, they both have the same priority, which
Mhm.
makes sense, I think, because I wouldn't want one to favor over the other. Not that it
Yeah.
matters very much, but let's do it. Validate. I don't actually care about my state because I can just destroy and rebuild. Terraform, apply. And so it shouldn't need to rebuild everything, right? Since I already had a lot of it. Yeah, 2 to
Yeah.
change. Yes.
Pretty-
Okay. What are you complaining about now? 2 errors. Member must have length greater than or equal to 10. Value slot priorities 1. Member slot ID failed to satisfy constraint. Member must have length greater than or equal to 10. So it looks like that slot ID that we just put in. Is that what it was called? Slot
Yeah,
priority.
slot
Slot
priority.
ID. So this thing right here, the slot ID itself failed to satisfy constraint. The member must have a length greater than or equal to 10. Let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Add an S. Make it 11.
And then the other one was the exact same thing, right? Slot ID failed. For the other one, slot.
Oh, no, it has to be less than or equal to 10. Okay, never mind. It
Does
can't
it
be 11.
say
Oh, that one's greater. Okay.
greater than, less
Or
than?
equal. That's weird.
Yeah, why is this one less than or equal to 10, but this one greater than or equal to 10?
Trying to think if we can just modify that slot constraint to like false.
I think that was one of the things that was breaking the defaults. Hmm, hmm, let's do that. Required, what do you think the other options could be?
Let me look it up.
Required. Uh, not required?
Makes sense. Optional. You could put optional.
Okay, let me undo that. Optional. Capital,
Yeah, capital O.
and then optional. We're gonna change 4 of them. I agree. And
Another one.
nope. Still failing to satisfy this. This is, I just think it's so weird. Why is this less than or equal to 10? And why is this one greater than or equal to 10?
Trying to figure out why it's denying that audio file though, since that has 10 characters.
Yeah, yeah. It's exactly at 10. So name text analyze. So okay, it started making changes. So instead of text to analyze, it made it text. Text, text. So they have to match and be smaller. And then audio file. That's weird. Okay, so it did add an extra character to this one to make it bigger. Audio file X. And it had to update that all over the place. Okay, let's try it. Nope, I don't care about the state.
Yeah, I was reading online that there's a lot of bugs with Amazon Lex right now with Terraform.
It definitely feels like what we're experiencing.
Perfect time to try and learn how to use it.
At least it's a different area, right?
No, there's only one this time,
Yep, yep.
but it's still the greater than or equal to 10. And so what change did my thing automatically do? So change it from slot ID text to AWS slot text analyze dot ID. Okay, so it's got a variable in
Oh,
there
okay,
now.
okay, okay. Maybe, yeah, maybe that'll work. Because remember we were talking about earlier, don't hard code anything. Refer to the actual.
Yeah, it's way better. Okay, let's try it. Validate. See if it likes having. Yeah. Oh no, we're gonna get stuck in a doom loop, I think. Oh, it changed it here too. Text analyze renamed it back. Changed it back. Uh-oh. Let's see what happens. I want to see if we get stuck in a doom loop again. But then we're gonna run into the same issue, right? That's so it's only one error. And what is my AI trying to do? It's stuck in a loop. It's gonna do the same thing over and over and over, I think. I'll give it one more try. I could upgrade to a smarter model and see what it thinks.
Yeah, let's see.
Should I do the really expensive one and see if it can figure it out? Like, let's give this one more shot. Let me just run through this. Nope. Okay. You are done, Grok. Let's go to the really expensive guy. Let's do this. Keep it intentionally vague and see what happens. Interesting. Oh. I don't know how true that is, but it's claiming that it wants the Amazon generated slot ID, not the name that we were giving it. Yeah, see there are these random strings of characters instead of problem is we can't reference directly. Creates a cycle. Yeah, we ran into that. Said we need to remove the slot priority block from the intent resource. Let's generate slot ID 10. Yeah, not the slot name since the Or directly to each model resource. So we removed that, the slot priority. It just gave it that priority equals 1. Slot priority equals 1. It's complaining. Terraform is. Interesting. So the validate's probably going to fail, right?
Yeah, I think it's getting confused again on V1 and V2 for that part.
The priority attribute isn't supported on the slot resource in the provider version. So got rid of those priorities. Okay. Put it back in there with the slot ID.
Where did it get that slot ID from?
So I guess those were already created when I ran Terraform apply earlier, and it pulled them when it ran a command up here. Where was that?
Is it in our outputs?
I think it was one of the outputs. Yeah, yeah. I remember some of the outputs were weird. So I can do Terraform output right now, right? Or output. Is that the command? Terraform
Yeah, I think
output.
so. Might be an S in there. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'll try it either way. Output. Yeah, something like this.
Mhm.
Not this exact one, or maybe it was that exact one. But yeah, some random string that is exactly 10 characters, not uh the things we were given it.
How can we put that in the outputs.tf is what I'm thinking, so that we can actually just reference it and put it into that slot ID. Let
That's a
me
good
go back to
question.
the code.
So what do the outputs say? They're gonna be like if we just remember create the slots, IDs will change and you'll need to update the slot priority blocks with the new IDs. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I guess the linchpin thing, Terraform AWS provider doesn't currently support the referencing of those slot IDs dynamically inside the slot priority without creating circular dependencies, which is what we were running into earlier. Um, so right now they're hard coded, which is the
Mhm.
only way to do it allegedly. Now let's see if what the bot's doing. Build failed. Let's try to build again. Well, that's going. I mean, that looks okay. Wait, do I need to? Is this gonna be a different bot, or is this the exact same one? SNL. SNL. Okay, it's the same one. Any idea how long these builds are supposed to take?
Mm, shouldn't take that long, to be honest.
Oh, hey,
Success.
built successful. Okay. Can you tell me what this story means? What text do you want me to analyze?
Mm,
This text. You want me to analyze this text? Is that correct? Oh, there we go.
yeah.
We didn't add the cancel in, right? We didn't analyze this text. Is that correct?
Try a no. See what it says.
No. I don't. Okay, I won't analyze it. Look at that. What
Wait,
else can I
wait.
help with?
So all you did was hard code in that ID.
Yeah, I mean, I did a couple changes, but the main thing was, yeah, so we still had to do this slot priority to get past that error, but it didn't want the name. It wanted this hard-coded 10-digit ID.
That gets created or after
Yes.
the first
After
one.
after I ran it one time, it created a number of these. And that's not my bot ID. That is the ID for, is it the slot or is it the ID for the intent?
Yeah, I'm trying to find that right now in the console too.
Yeah, yeah, because here, I'll pull it up. Yeah, because my bot ID ends in SNL. And that thing it's not the same ID. It's not a reference to the bot ID, that's for sure. It either has to be the slot or the intent, I think. Can you print my intent IDs and
Oh, wait, yeah, I think so. All right, that which one is that for? Transcribe audio. It's under the intent details. Let me check that.
does it's a
Actually,
it's a thing you can see?
actually, this one's different, but I mean, it has the same amount of characters.
Are you looking at mine on the console?
Yeah, yeah.
So this is the P ends in ZVW, and that's in transcribe, but then there should be one inside uh text analyze as well. Yeah, that one ends in XVK.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah, okay. I got the AI to print them out for me. So my intent IDs are all right here, and my slot IDs are all right here. So it looks like it's the slot ID. So it's referencing itself? Oh no. Okay, so the slot priority has to reference the slot ID. That makes sense. You're saying, hey, the slot with this ID is priority one, and this ID references a slot, not the intent. XVK, let's see if that's right. XVK. Yeah, that's got to be it.
So on the console, I do see where the first slot IDs are. That's under the actual intent details, but the second one, I'm trying to find where that is at. I
Intent
assume it would be
details.
under the slots,
ID.
but I
That's
can't
not,
find it.
this is not the right one. ID. That's, oh, because that's the intent. No,
Yep,
duh.
yep.
And where's the slot? Where'd you go to see slot details?
Oh no, I can't find that slot one, but I can see the intent ID, which matches what was on the terminal. But it returned you four total IDs, so
Yes, two intent IDs, which
yep.
we don't actually need for this, and then two slot IDs, which we did need to hard code
Mhm.
those two. And those match,
There.
the XVK and the ZVW.
Mhm. Can I?
So I guess another step in the lab is you have to get this slot ID and give it a priority, at least to get around, maybe there's a way to get around all the errors I ran into, but what was the command I used? Terraform state show Lex models intent analyze text grep intent ID name. And then we did a Terraform state show intent ID transcribe audio. We did a grep for intent ID name.
Okay, yeah, I just asked ChatGPT. It says the Amazon Lex V in the Amazon Lex V2 console, the slot ID is not shown directly in the UI.
Yeah,
But
you can only probably get it through the CLI or something.
yeah.
Yeah, and I'll put in the chat just for reference, the command that you can use to get that. Terraform state show AWS underscore Lex V2 models underscore slot, then text analyze the one you want. A grep command to look for slot ID, and then yeah, okay. So that's how you get them
It's saying you can also find it in the URL. So let me try that.
in the URL itself.
Yeah.
See that's got my bot ID in the URL. I don't
Yeah.
see my slot
Mhm.
IDs,
For
but maybe the URL for that specific,
the slot, right?
maybe? Those, there is an ID that changes up here, but that's not the right one.
Mhm.
DV, DCY, and at least they don't correspond to what I'm looking at. I don't know what those go to. That looks like the intent ID. So there's the bot ID. There's the intent ID, but there's not the slot ID in there.
Trying to figure out too why the slots aren't listed under slot type. How do you even get to the slot page? That's another question.
I guess there isn't a dedicated slot page. It's like a sub page to intents. Intents, transcribe. I'm not a fan of Amazon's console or GUI interface.
Yeah, I would say for this like resource, this is the least user friendly that I've seen out of all the different resources.
Yeah, like these specifically right here. Like I get,
Yeah.
okay, there's a dotted line, so this flows from the one above to the one below it, but it's like, what is going on here? And then if you expand it, it's like,
I know, it's just not user intuitive. Like, okay, so confirmation at what point, right? And then fulfillment, like it just doesn't flow well.
no, not at all. This is like something that I would make,
Yeah.
I was trying to do it in my spare time, and this is the best I could come up with.
Stream of consciousness, right?
Not a multi-billion-dollar company, with this as being their bread and butter. Maybe I guess not Lex specifically, but you think AWS would be much more polished. But
Chatbots? Yeah. Yeah.
well, cool.